So today I'm going to talk about lectins, and it can be a little bit confusing because on one hand you have, Tom Brady that swears by a lectin-free diet, and Dr. Gundry that's written books about how lectin is the evil and it causes all the diseases under the sun, and then all the other people saying that it's fine to eat lectins and there's no problem. So what I will attempt to do is define what lectins are, tell you the sources, tell you the pros and the cons, a little bit of the science on lectins and autoimmune diseases, and then you can make your informed decision. So what are lectins to start off? Lectin is a protein in a plant that is there to protect the plant from its predators. And as such, it acts as an antioxidant for us. So many of these plant compounds that are in the plants as a protection for the plant are actually very beneficial to us through something called hormesis. And hormesis is basically what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So little bits of poison are actually very good for us. Another benefit of lectin is that it helps us digest the carbohydrates a little bit slower so that we're absorbing it slower and it doesn't spike our blood sugar as much. And also it has antimicrobial properties, fighting off some bacteria strains like E. coli and strep, some viruses, and even some fungi. So those are the pros. But the biggest pro is not exactly because of the lectin itself. It's because of the sources that they're found in. So where are they found? They are found in all plants in varying amounts, but mostly in legumes, whole grains, and nightshades. So your legumes are going to be soy, beans, peas, lentils, chickpeas. The whole grains will be wheat and barley and rye. And then the nightshades will be potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, bell peppers, regular peppers, even paprika, okra, and even goji berry are nightshades. So those are the sources. And as you can see, these sources are very nutritious foods, and they are the basis of many healthy diets. So people in the blue zones, for example, eat a lot of these lectin-containing foods. The Mediterranean diet, that is the most studied diet for health promotion, is very rich in these lectin-containing foods. And if you think of Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, these are they have lectin-containing foods prescribed to their patients. So it's been being consumed for a long time, and I don't want you to throw the baby out with the bathwater because of what I'm going to say next, okay? So what are the problems? So first of all, if you eat it raw, lectins can be very poisonous, but nobody's going to eat the foods that contain most lectins such as legumes and whole grains raw, right? Cooking reduces it substantially, and there are certain things that you can do that even reduces it more, and I'll explain them later. So that's that for the poisonous, because you're not eating it raw, it's fine. But it would clot your blood and you could die. It also acts as an anti-nutrient because it binds to some minerals. And again, there are things that you can do to reduce the lectin content, and you can do to your food to reduce this anti-nutrient part of it. And it can bind to the cells of your GI because it's a protein in a plant, and it likes to bind to carbohydrate. Some of the cells in your GI have these little hair-like projections that are carbohydrate. Well, the lectin goes there and binds to it, and then it disrupts the breakdown and absorption of nutrients in your GI. It also can disrupt your microbiome and give you symptoms of IBS if you don't digest it correctly. Some people are more susceptible to others, Some people don't digest it as well as others, and you will only know by trial of taking it out a little bit for 4 to 6 weeks and then reintroducing and seeing. Or sometimes you'll eat it and know right then if you have a GI symptom, but if you have something related to autoimmunity, which is what I'm going to talk about next, then you really can't correlate it right then because it's not immediate, okay? So it can potentially cause autoimmune because it binds to the cells inside your body. So what happens is, if you have a leaky gut, they have found that 3 hours after you eat lectin-containing foods, they found that digestive resistant lectins can cross the intestinal barrier and enter the blood, and they can reach certain tissues of your body. And many tissues in our body, brain, breast, prostate, thyroid, pancreas, even the cardiac muscle, have receptors that lectin can bind to. It's not exactly a lectin receptor, but lectin can bind to it. And when it does that, your body is like, wait a minute, I don't recognize that cell anymore. And then it mounts a response fighting off that cell that was actually your tissue. So this happens a lot, and it has been studied a lot in rheumatoid arthritis. So when you ingest the lectin, it penetrates your gut barrier, goes to your blood, travels through to your synovial fluid, you know, the little liquid that is in your joints, and then it starts binding there, and your body starts attacking your joints, and you have RA. So they found that some RA patients are 50 times more capable of binding lectins to their antibodies than regular people. So they're very susceptible. So this is one example of a person that could try eliminating lectins from their diet and see if their symptoms improve, because it has been studied. So they found that in 18 to 15% of the people that they drew blood off of, this study that was published this year in February, it's the one that one of the ones that I posted in the feed. They found lectin IgG, so antibodies IgG, IgM, and IgE against lectins in 18 to 15% of these participants, meaning that it does cross from your gut to your blood, and in some people they can mount a response. Not everybody, it's a minority, right? 8 to 15%, but some people do mount a response against it. So these are the people, and also it can activate NF-kappa B, which is a pathway that activates inflammation. It is present in all acute and chronic inflammatory diseases. This pathway is, and lectin activates it. So people that are struggling with joint pain and a lot of inflammation and have autoimmune diseases may want to try, with supervision, to eliminate these lectin-containing foods. But what's the problem? These lectin-containing foods are very nutritious for you. If you don't do it with guidance, you're going to be missing out in micronutrients, vitamins and minerals from these foods, and not knowing how to substitute them with other foods. So if you want to eliminate lectins, it's good to get some advice from people that are professionals, nutritionists, dietitians, your doctor, to do that. And you can certainly trial it out and see if it's going to be beneficial. But there's also stuff that you can do to your food to reduce lectin content. And for example, you can soak and sprout. So I have over there sitting on my counter black beans that I soaked for 24 hours. Then I rinsed, threw that water away, rinsed it, and now they're sprouting there for another 24. And then I will cook them. I will pressure cook them. So soaking, sprouting, pressure cooking. If you're buying beans in a can, you want to drain that, rinse until all that foam is out, and then use it to cook, okay? And that reduces the lectin content. Also, if it's the nightshades, you can peel and de-seed them. So tomatoes and eggplants and stuff, and the peppers, if you take those seeds out, it also helps reduce the lectin content of that. And I do not recommend that if you don't have a reaction. I eat tomatoes, I eat bell peppers like crazy. It doesn't do me any harm. But if you think that you've cleaned out everything else, you've eliminated the sugar, you've taken out the dairy, you've taken out the gluten and all those inflammatory causing foods, and you're still having joint pain, or you're still having some kind of inflammation like a muscle thing that doesn't heal, maybe you can try removing the nightshades for 4 to 6 weeks and observe with the help of a professional and see if that helps you. And I think, so the bottom line is that the legumes and the nightshades and the whole grains are very nutritious, and using the appropriate cooking methods, you can reduce the lectin in them. And in some kinds, you can also almost eliminate the lectin content. And you should test on yourself, of course. Everybody is different, and always with the supervision of a nutrition professional. So if you have any questions, you can DM me, because I know this is a little confusing subject.